Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Um, I might turn this into a series. So I did a breakdown of the price action last week, which was cool, right? So I might do one for the next week, right? And if we head to the charts, right, you can see this were the markings from last week's, right? Cool. So these were the markings for last week's. Let's go have a look. Basically, um, the reason we got the markings is to show how relevant they still are. And if we go to first price action on Monday, you can see we had a break of structure, so now we are bearish, came out with a pullback, and now we're continuing the bearish leg. Now, if you look at Monday for that bearish leg, this is Monday, what happened? Well, you can see there's a zone here that was, that we traded off and targeted. Now, if we adjust the zone to fit the London zone, and we kind of have to adjust that zone because it's a bit too big. We want it tighter, don't we? We go down to the 5 minute. The 5 minute zone is just here. Right, now, boom. Now that's that zone. Now, nice and simplified. Now, if we just drag it across, boom. That was a zone that price reacted off of. And if we look for our entries on this one, have to go back all the way to it. There it is. You can see there was a nice rejection right here. A stop loss just above, and you could have held it out straight to end of session, which would have given you a nice 2-to-1 risk reward, about 31 pips, which is great. And if we needed to have a target in mind, so if we were like targeting somewhere, where would we target? Right? We got about here. This zone. As you can see, it did tap into it. It was also the current weekly low, which was great. But if you held out to the end of session, which it was not far off, you could have gotten a full 30 pips, 2-to-1 risk to reward, right? Anyway, moving on to Tuesday. What happened Tuesday? Well, Tuesday kind of flipped upwards, but as you can see, if we look at Tuesday right here, we have just tapped into the previous weekly lows. So although it wouldn't really be a trade I would have taken, but it makes sense because price is rejecting the previous weekly low. But I would have taken it as it's not part of the plan, as it's against a trend. But it has happened time and time again. I've seen it multiple times where price just rejects weekly low. And you can see the zone that I've already created from my target zone. You can have targeted down here, rejected off the previous weekly low, and if you have closed it out at session close, that's another 52 pips. Right there. So although the trend was bearish, a higher time frame rejected the previous weekly low, and that's a strong zone. So you do have, good probabilities on your side taking a trade like this. Personally, I wouldn't, but that was another trade, and then we've got Wednesday to come. What happened Wednesday? Well, we had huge news, which kind of just messed with price a bit, but you can see price has reacted off to that zone and pushed all the way up and targeted about Asia high. But that was a no trading day, as there wasn't really a setup there. And then now where do we go from here? We can go from Thursday. Yes, what happened on Thursday? The pound had a interest rate decision release, and the actual was less than the forecast, so it did drop, but it was released at 12 o'clock. So at this point, price wasn't really affected. But yeah, what you had here was a zone that was, created, but didn't match the higher time frame. So if we go look at Thursday, you can see price came up, down, up again. It was basically consolidating. Like if we match it here, right there, there, like that is trend. That's consolidation. That's the trend going sideways. We didn't really have a clear trend, really, did we? So what did we need? So for a trend to be clear, we needed the break of this high or the break of this low, right? If price pushed above, we can safely say we are in an uptrend. If price pushed below this low, we can safely say we're in a downtrend. Now, what happened was on Thursday, we had Asia low, which was also the low, structural low, which which was pretty good for us. So what happened was we had a push down, straightaway bearish momentum, came down, closed below, and then if we see, closed below, and then, well, straight from the 15-minute, that is straight away a rejection candle. But if we go down to the 5-minute, more refined, you can see closed below, came up, and then we had a bearish engulfing candle right there, stop loss there, and, well, where did we target? Well, you could have just let the trade run, as is basically no previous session. Um, there is not really recent price action at this point, but if you just let the trade run until 12 o'clock, and if you closed it before news released, you could have banked about a 66 pip move. And as you can see, wait if we go down to the 15-minute, yeah, there it is, down 15 minutes straight away. Um, yeah, as you can see, the big, massive, long wick, that shows how how volatile news release is. So if you close the trade before, you could have still got a nice 66 pips off from that anyway. And that was a nice, simple, break and retest um, setup, which was quite nice. It's broken the lows, so it flipped the trend bearish. Anyway, and then we move on to Friday, the final day. Now, we had a massive push down, and then we had a pull up. Now, on Friday, um, came down, came up, and we were just looking for the continuation to the downside. So we were bearish as well. So, although we had a Asia high, as you can see on the 15-minute, price did come down, showed massive rejection. And then where could you have targeted? You could have targeted the lows, about there. And then you could have gotten a nice risk to reward ratio out of that, about 84 pips. But the problem with this trade is that we had a lot of PMI data coming out. So since 8:15 all the way till 9:30, price was, quite volatile, which is actually quite half the reason why price pushed down quite a bit. As you can see, after the rejection, huge push down, and 9:30 when the pound PMI came out, huge wick to the up and the downside. But overall, trend was trending downwards. So, you know, um, yeah, that could be partly why the London session continued going downwards. But it's also not really a trade I would have taken. But yeah, we've got a couple of opportunities. That was quite nice, really. You had Monday's, sell trade, and then Thursday's continued sell trade. And yeah, those were really nice opportunities. You could have banked, basically 100 pips from that week, which was not bad. 100 pips, like it's not bad, especially when you have a big trade like a 66 pip trade. And if you have also traded this 50 and also this 84, they were big trades those days. But it was all dependent on your plan and stuff, whether you actually took the trade or not. But yeah, that is basically the roundup for this week. This week's yeah, trades. That was what the zones all marked up. You know, previous zones are also still relevant, so we could leave them here for, future reference in case, you know, other zones come up. But yeah, that was the breakdown of this week. Well, hopefully you might have, found something useful from that, and, me just breaking down how I see the market. But yeah, um, I don't know if you guys want to see more of it, but it does help me as a trader a lot just to analyze the market like the week after it's done to, see where I could improve my analysis, stuff like that. So I'm still gonna probably do it regardless, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. See you probably next week.